Alright guys, we are getting ready to cut a jig to help you place the blocks together to build the wheel. You'll need just a little scrap block of lumber from either any 1x that you can come up with, or there is enough left on the 10-foot 1x that you're making the wheel out of to make this jig as well. So you'll need to take your piece, because not all pieces are going to be cut exactly the same. So you're going to actually need to measure this off of blocks that you've already cut out for the wheel. And for this one, these blocks are actually 3 inches long instead of 4 inches long, so that should help me prove the point that it's tailored to the actual wheel blocks itself. Right off the bat, you need to measure how far it is from the bottom of the block until the lower edge of this taper. And so on this one, we've got just about 1.5 inches. And so you want to check your other blocks, but they're all about 1.5 inches. And so that means that you're going to need to take 1.5 inches off of this block to make the template. So you'll mark that off along 1.5 inches, and then your next measurement you need is you need to see how long exactly the blocks are. And you'll want to check all of them, but these are all right at about 3 inches. Now what you're going to want to do with that measurement is you're going to want to mark it off as well, and the trick is there you need to take off just about 1/8 of an inch, so that you can have room for both of the corners of the other two blocks to overlap. But so if these are at 3 inches, we want 2 inches and 7/8, and that should help you get the block cut to the right proportions. Now once you've got it 2 inches and 7/8 wide, and then marked off at 1.5 inches this way, you go in here and you want to mark a 30-inch diagonal. And this angle that I have right here is actually 30 exactly. So I would hold this, and then I'd mark here on this side. I'd flip it over, and I would mark here on this side, and then that would give me a trapezoid that perfectly makes the jig for this wheel. So we're going to cut out this trapezoid, and then we're going to come back and show you how it works to assemble the wheel pieces. Alright guys, here we are. I've cut out my jig piece, and the way you match it up to make sure it works okay is you go ahead and you see if it is the same width top to bottom as one of these pieces at the bottom of their taper, and this one is, and you can really check it against all of them to make sure that you're not having a problem with one piece being smaller. But that is what you're looking for, is that it's the same width as this small side in the front on the wedge. And then the other thing that you're looking for is that the top of the V is just shy of the corners of that piece right there. The bottom of this wedge, this line right here is what you're looking at, and you want to make sure that the top of the V is just shy of that, so that there's room for the other ones to overlap just a bit. Now once you've got that piece cut, you're ready to assemble. You put 2 pieces down with the wedges facing away from you, and then you put that V in between them. Now here's the important part. You want to get the bottom of this wedge right with the top of that jig. So on both sides, you want to make sure that the rest of that ramp is sticking out above the jig, if that makes sense. So you want to have one line up this wedge, across here, and down this wedge. And once you got those in place, you'll lay this block right down on top of it, but it'll actually line up. The bottom of this block will line up with the bottom of that jig, and you'll see that overlaps up, but that is the exact right placement. And if you've put that on there and you hammer it down, you will have a quarter of the wheel done. And this is what you're supposed to do 4 times. And once you've got these 3 sets together and you have 4 groups of these 3 blocks, it's a lot easier to nail your wheel together straight, but they'll all be at the right angles to begin with anyways. You can even use this jig to put the 4 pieces together later on, but a lot of people can do that without the jig. So I hope this helps, and if you have any questions, just ask me on the Ask Me Anything thread. Thanks.